Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. Why is it that so many younger women, in secret or in public, are drawn to men twice their age, while men their own age are ignored, ghosted, or treated like little boys? That question alone should make you pause, because the truth behind it isn't just about money, status, or looks. It's something deeper, darker, and very rarely spoken out loud. Younger women are not looking at older men through the same lens you think they are. They're not blinded by charm alone. They are sensing something that younger men can't fake, and it's not written in any dating app profile. It's hidden in the way he carries himself, in the way he pauses before speaking, in the way he doesn't chase validation because he's already lived enough life to know his worth. When a younger woman looks at an older man, her nervous system feels something she doesn't even consciously process. Safety mixed with danger, stability mixed with unpredictability. That paradox is intoxicating to her. She might tell her friends she's only curious, but what pulls her in is how an older man doesn't crumble under her tests, doesn't panic when she withdraws attention, doesn't bend like a boy desperate to be liked. His silence is heavier than their loud attempts to impress. His calmness is more seductive than their eagerness. She sees in him a mirror of the father figure she respected and the man she secretly wishes her peers could be. And let's be honest, most men her age are still figuring out who they are. They chase trends, they fear rejection, they live through screens and distractions. But the older man has scars, mistakes, battles fought in silence. He carries that quiet gravity that whispers, "I've been through storms you can't imagine, and I survived." That gravity pulls her in, not because he's perfect, but because he's imperfect in a way that feels human, raw, and real. That's what she can't resist, the undeniable sense that with him, she can lose herself without being lost, and it terrifies her just as much as it excites her. What you must understand is this. Attraction isn't about youth chasing money or status like people gossip about. It's about energy. Younger women are drawn to the energy of a man who has lived long enough to stop apologizing for existing. That's something younger men rarely have, because they are still begging the world to accept them. Older men walk differently. They talk differently. Their very presence carries a kind of assurance that says, "I don't need you to like me, but I'll let you if you want to." And that is magnetic. Think about it. When you were 20, didn't you feel this constant need to prove yourself, to show off, to argue, to win every little battle? That's what makes young men look exhausting in the eyes of younger women. But the older man doesn't need to fight over trivial things. His restraint is louder than any flex, because it signals mastery. Women feel it instantly, even if they can't explain it. It's not arrogance, it's control. Control over his emotions, control over his reactions, control over his world. That control creates desire, because desire is born in mystery. A younger woman looks at an older man and wonders, why isn't he trying so hard? Why does he seem unshaken when others would be desperate? That curiosity alone plants attraction. And here's the secret. Curiosity is the spark that can grow into obsession. While younger men are showing off cars, muscles, or followers, the older man sits back and lets silence do the work. His presence makes her want to lean in. He makes her ask questions. He makes her chase. And when she realizes he's not desperate for her attention, it flips her entire script about relationships. She suddenly feels like she's in the presence of someone rare, someone valuable, someone she must earn. That flips the dynamic. The hunter becomes the hunted, and nothing excites a woman more than feeling she has to prove herself to a man she secretly believes is above her usual reach. This is the invisible power older men carry. It's not something you can fake with cologne, cash, or clothes. It's built from years of living, losing, learning, and rising again. It's the aura of survival. And once she feels that, it lingers in her like a scent she can't shake off. There's another reason younger women gravitate toward older men, and it's one most men don't want to admit: patience. Not the kind of patience that means waiting around, but the kind of patience that comes from no longer rushing life. Younger men live like every moment is a competition, like if they don't get her attention in 5 seconds, she'll vanish forever. And that desperation leaks through their every move. Too many messages, too many jokes, too much pressure. But an older man, he moves slow, and that slowness is intoxicating. A younger woman feels it in the way he pauses before answering, in the way he doesn't immediately react when she tests him, in the way he listens without needing to jump in and dominate. That patience feels like strength. It feels like wisdom. It feels like the presence of someone who won't collapse under her emotions, who won't be rattled when she lashes out, who won't bolt when things get messy. To her, his patience equals security. And security, even in the midst of desire, is irresistible. You have to remember, women live in a world of chaos, social chaos, emotional chaos, constant tests of their worth and appearance. When a younger woman meets an older man who can absorb all that noise and remain unshaken, she doesn't just feel attracted, she feels relieved. That relief turns into trust, and trust turns into longing. Because attraction isn't just about excitement, it's about peace. And when she finds both in one man, her mind can't let him go. Now here's where most men misunderstand. They think patience means being passive. No, patience is not weakness. It's control of timing. An older man knows when to move and when not to. He knows when to pursue and when to let her lean forward first. That balance makes her feel like she's part of a dance instead of a chase. And dances are always more beautiful than desperate hunts. Younger men rush to prove they're worthy. Older men make her prove she's worthy of his time. And that subtle shift turns everything upside down. Suddenly, she's not evaluating him. She's evaluating herself in his eyes. That power dynamic is where attraction blooms, and once she feels it, it's unforgettable. One of the strongest forces pulling younger women toward older men is emotional depth. Think about it. Most young men hide from their own emotions. They drown them in noise, distractions, endless scrolling, chasing highs that vanish in minutes. But an older man has lived long enough to face his shadows. He's been broken, betrayed, disappointed, and rebuilt himself piece by piece. That depth radiates in everything he does. A younger woman may not consciously articulate it, but she feels it like a current under the surface. When she sits across from him, she senses the weight of his silence. He doesn't rush to fill space with empty words. His eyes carry stories of pain and triumph that she can almost hear, without him speaking. Younger men often try to impress with what they've achieved, but older men impress by simply existing, because their life is written into their energy. That depth makes her feel like she's finally sitting with someone who isn't shallow, someone who won't vanish at the first sign of difficulty, someone who has the courage to face reality without flinching. And here's the truth that few will say out loud. Younger women crave that depth because it makes them feel alive. They don't just want a partner. They want a guide, a mentor, someone who can hold space for their chaos without being swallowed by it. When an older man shares a story of loss or lessons learned from mistakes, it doesn't make him weaker in her eyes. It makes him magnetic. Vulnerability with strength is intoxicating. It tells her, this man isn't playing games. He's lived them, lost them, and grown past them. That emotional depth also gives him a calmness younger men can't fake. He doesn't get rattled by every mood swing, doesn't need validation in every moment, doesn't break when she withdraws affection to test him. He has been through storms bigger than her tests, and he's still standing. That unspoken resilience makes her feel safe, even when she's unpredictable. And that's why she'll keep coming back, even if she can't explain why to anyone else. It's not about the number of years, it's about the weight of those years, and she can feel every ounce of it when she's near him. Another trait that pulls younger women toward older men is decisiveness. Younger men often hesitate, second-guess themselves, and look around for approval before making choices. They're paralyzed by the fear of being wrong. But an older man, he's lived through enough failures to know that hesitation costs more than mistakes. His decisiveness is a rare signal in a world drowning in uncertainty. And women, whether they admit it or not, are drawn to the man who can lead without trembling. When she asks, "Where should we go?" and he calmly says, "Follow me, I know a place," she feels an immediate shift inside. It's not about control. It's about clarity. It's about knowing that he won't get lost in endless debates or leave decisions hanging on her shoulders. That kind of leadership makes her relax, because she knows she doesn't have to carry both roles. She can soften because he is firm. She can express herself freely because he can handle the direction. This is where so many young men fail. They confuse decisiveness with arrogance, or worse, with domination. But real decisiveness is quiet confidence. It's not shouting orders, it's not forcing, it's simply knowing what you want and moving toward it without apology. That certainty is electric. It makes a younger woman feel like she's in the presence of a man who trusts himself. And if he trusts himself, she can trust him too. Decisiveness also applies to boundaries. An older man knows what he will and will not tolerate. He doesn't beg for attention, doesn't allow disrespect, doesn't chase someone who pulls away. That inner firmness makes him rare. When a younger woman encounters a man who values his peace more than her drama, she doesn't lose interest. She feels compelled to rise to his standard. Because deep down, women respect a man who won't bend just to keep them around. You see, indecision feels weak, and weakness repels. Decisiveness feels strong, and strength attracts. Not because she wants to be controlled, but because she wants to feel secure with someone who knows where he's going. And older men who carry that trait are impossible to ignore. Their choices carve paths that younger women can't help but want to walk beside. There's also the undeniable trait of self-control. Younger women are not just watching how a man speaks or what he owns, they're watching how he handles his impulses. Most young men reveal their hunger too quickly. They text non-stop. They rush physical intimacy. They can't hide how badly they crave approval. And that hunger makes them predictable, easy to manipulate, and unattractive. But an older man, he doesn't rush. He doesn't lunge. He doesn't show desperation, because he has already learned that what is truly valuable cannot be forced. That restraint is magnetic. Imagine her testing him with a flirty look, expecting him to lose control, but instead he simply smiles and continues with what he was doing. That calm dismissal drives her wild because it communicates a single truth. I want you, but I don't need you. Nothing destabilizes a woman more than realizing she is not the center of a man's world, but merely a part of it. That shift creates longing. She starts wondering, what does he value more than me? Why isn't he chasing? What does he see that I don't? That curiosity breeds attraction. Self-control also shows in how an older man manages his emotions. Younger men explode in anger, sulk in silence, or chase arguments to feel powerful. But an older man doesn't give his energy away so cheaply. He knows when to stay quiet, when to walk away, when to let things pass. That control creates contrast. She feels safe because she knows he won't spiral with her moods, and at the same time she feels challenged because she can't easily predict his reactions. Safety with unpredictability, that is the perfect storm for desire. You must understand, women are experts at testing boundaries. They want to see if you'll crumble, if you'll lose composure, if you'll betray your own standards just to keep them close. And younger men often fail that test. But older men, with their discipline, flip the entire game. His self-control forces her to lean in, forces her to crave his approval, forces her to wonder what it would take to truly capture his attention. That mystery burns inside her. And in that burning, she discovers that attraction isn't about his age. It's about his mastery of himself. The last and perhaps most powerful trait that draws younger women to older men is purpose. Not just a job, not just a hobby, but a deep sense of direction. Younger men often drift. They chase trends, mimic what others are doing, live for the next dopamine hit. But an older man who has built, failed, rebuilt, and carved his own path carries an aura of meaning. That purpose is visible in the way he wakes up, the way he speaks, the way he prioritizes. And women feel it immediately. A younger woman doesn't want to be the center of a man's life. She wants to be invited into a life already worth living. That's the secret so many miss. When she meets a man who is so grounded in his mission that he doesn't need her to fill a void, she feels honored just to be near him. She feels like she's joining a current bigger than herself. That's why older men with purpose become irresistible. They don't orbit around her, she orbits around them. And purpose creates patience. A man with vision isn't desperate for quick wins or temporary thrills. He doesn't lose himself in games or validation because his life already has weight. That weight is magnetic. It's the difference between a boy who seeks comfort and a man who creates legacy. And younger women, whether they realize it or not, are biologically wired to sense that difference. But here's where the truth cuts deep. Many men never discover that purpose. They drift their entire lives, chasing women instead of dreams, chasing attention instead of impact. And that's why they keep losing to the older men who have carved themselves into something solid. Attraction isn't about tricks, it's about truth. And the truth is, women are drawn to men who know who they are, where they're going, and what they refuse to compromise on. So, if you're listening right now, ask yourself, do you carry these traits? Do you live with patience, emotional depth, decisiveness, self-control, and purpose? Or are you still waiting for the world to hand them to you? Because the man who embodies these isn't just attractive to younger women, he's unstoppable in every area of life. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 traits do you feel you already have, and which do you know you must develop? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this video hits something inside you, like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this today.